Welcome to Paper Crane Yarns in Calera, Alabama. We are just south of Birmingham, and this shop is adorable. Ashley, who is the owner, also dyes yarn, so you're gonna see her yarn line in here. And be sure to look out for the paper cranes everywhere. Let's head inside. I am here with Ashley, who is the owner of Paper Crane Yarns, and we're going to take a tour of the yarn shop. So tell me, what room are we in right now?
So we are in the main entrance of my shop. This is my hand-dyed yarn room. This actually used to be the entire storefront, but we've since expanded. But behind me here, I've got my wall of hand-dyed yarns. This is Paper Crane Yarns. And then I've got a couple of other hand dyers right now. I'm working on bringing in some more, but we've got some Coats & Co. And Cape May Fiber. And then we have a couple of little stragglers that are on their way over to like the big yarn room. But mostly this is my hand-dyed yarn room.
Beautiful. Now, what bases do you carry in your yarn? I always love seeing like you're a hand dyer, you have your own yarn shop. It's like it couldn't get more local than this. So
Definitely.
Talk me through your bases.
So my favorite base is my blue-faced Leicester. And I just recently brought in a big shipment and dyed a ton of that. So that would be like these ones. I just love the way that they take the dye. But I also have your superwash merinos on, every weight. This is my little worsted wall. I have some Surrey alpaca. I've got silk mohair. And that's about it right now. I have had some specialty stuff in the past, but right now that's really what there's been a lot of demand for with my customers. So that's kind of what we have, but the BFL is definitely my favorite.
So this area was the original, like, where all the yarn was. And then talk us through what it looked like over here.
Okay,
before.
So over here, we had more yarn crammed into this little section. But this was a full counter that went to about here. And behind it was my hand-dyed yarn wall. So now where there's this doorway leading into the expansion, that was where I had all of my hand-dyed yarns. And so just this week, we actually took out the rest of the counter, but I asked my husband to leave in part of it because it's sentimental. So now I'm just doing a little bit of merchandising here, but this used to be like from that wall to there was the entire store.
Wow.
Except for back there, but that's so studio cool. space.
And what did you used to use back here for?
That was where we did our knitting and crochet group, like our stitching group. And one of my dye rooms is still back there. That's my sewing studio and my daycare.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So what do you sew?
I make project bags.
Do you have any in the other room?
I have like 2 right now.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we'll see those when we go in there.
Okay.
It'll be fun to see. Okay, so coming back this way. Oh, I see more of your yarns.
These are discounted.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, these are old bases and old labels.
Very cool. You have all kinds of different, what are these?
These are earrings that are handmade from a mother and daughter team. I think they're based in California, but they're clay. And I bring in like seasonal earrings and just kind of whimsical stuff.
Yeah, those are really fun. Okay, so heading back, let's go into your expansion room and see what we have in here.
So this is my main yarn room, if you will, where I carry the rest of the brands that I partner with. And right now I'm still kind of working on the layout, but things are pretty much organized by brand more than they are weight and fiber. So I've got some of my favorite over here. This is a lot of Quince & Co. I have some German yarns. This is Kremke. This is like a recycled
Oh,
yarn
interesting.
with it's wool and recycled textiles. So it's got a really nice price point, but it's a beautiful yarn.
Yeah.
Blocks out really well.
Neat.
I've got Kelborn Woolens and Imperial Yarn. That's a USA brand, and that they raise all of their animals in the US.
Mm-hmm.
And coming this way, I probably shouldn't play favorites, but these are my favorite. This is Sadness Garn. Very popular brand, very beautiful yarns. So I had some Sadness Garn in the other room too, but these are my favorites.
Yeah, the mohair and everything. So nice. What do you like to use these yarns for?
I think these are really nice for garments
Mm-hmm.
and cowls, things that are close to the skin. I find that they're really comfortable. But these are really popular for garment patterns. Obviously, you can hold the silk mohair and like the Sunday double and get a really beautiful fabric. This is the Pure Gint, which has been very popular, I would say, the past year.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it used a lot in designs. It's like a worsted weight, kind of rusticy wool.
Yeah.
And over here we have We Are Knitters. I'm slowly expanding on their selection, but I think it's a really nice yarn for your average knitter, but a lot of beginners too, knitters and crocheters, because they have a lot of beginner-friendly patterns and pattern support. Here I have another one of my favorite brands. This is Wool Dreamers, which is a Spanish merino brand. And I carry their Manchalope, so that's my unspun wool selection.
Yeah.
One of my favorites for sure. This is also Wool Dreamers, and these are excellent for garments too. They're really bouncy. And this one's fun. This is new from Ireland, new to us. These are Atlantic Coast yarns, but these are cashmere merino and silk. And I really
Ooh.
like the tweed in here. But yeah, these are from Ireland. They've been very, very popular at the shop.
Nice. Those are beautiful. So in here too, it looks like you have your table. So
Yeah.
what happens here? Like, do you have any classes or any like groups that come and meet? What happens in this area?
Yeah, so this is where we do our knitting and crochet group on Saturdays. Every Saturday, 12 to 2, we meet here. And when we first started, this table has a little leaf on it. I just had this part, and then I realized, wow, that's not enough space. So we added on the leaf, and we've got the couch, and I pull out chairs when lots of people show up.
Yeah.
But yeah, now we have this nice bright space for everybody to spend time together and, fellowship and that kind of thing, and hang out and knit and spin. Recently, we've had some spinners.
Oh, cool. That's
Been
awesome.
fun. They usually take the couch.
I love that. So I like just love that this is here.
So my goal, and I don't know if this is true, and you can probably tell me after all of your adventures.
Yeah.
I want to be the only yarn store with an arcade machine.
I mean, so far, I don't think we've seen any.
Nice. Definitely the only one in Alabama. But yeah, a lot of my inspiration comes from, I feel like I've got this duality of like cottagey, nature, botanical inspired, and then me having played like video games since I was 6 or 7 years old. And I just thought it'd be fun, and it's free. Like, this is fake. This is just for people to hang out.
That's so fun.
I will say, so far, I really only had women who were 70s and older play this, which I think is awesome. They come in and they show off their skills. Like, I'm super impressed. But nobody young has touched this thing. I don't get it. It's great.
I could see, like, if somebody is shopping and, like, their kid is here, they would want to, like, play while somebody's shopping.
You would think. It's these older ladies. They're showing off their skills.
That's so
But
great.
it has like 12 games. I just think it's fun.
Yeah, it's really fun. I also want to see all your like tea and coffee mugs. It looks like you have it set up for, like, you've got coffee made. Do people like come in and get coffee, or is like this for you, or how does it work?
So on Saturdays, I always brew coffee or tea, kind of depending on who comes.
Mm-hmm.
But there's always coffee available. I usually bake treats and things for people to share on Saturdays. I did not have time this week, as you can imagine, but
Busy week.
It is. But we do also carry Plum Deluxe tea, and I've got some handmade mugs. I have a huge mug order on its way. Sadly, a lot of the orders that I placed are coming in today, so we're gonna miss half of my like Delicue, just a bunch of stuff that's coming in. But anyway, yeah, this is where I'm currently. I've got my tea and coffee mug selection, but I am expanding on it.
And you have all kinds of fun things up here too.
Yeah. So I've got first and foremost, my sticker collection.
Yeah.
So these are some of the brands that I work with, but just fun stuff I've come across. My goal is to eventually have the whole counter
Like covered in
stickers.
Fun. That's so cool. This
I
looks
have-
like the doodles.
Those are the doodles.
I said this chart was in something that I'm working on right now.
This one is too, but this is modified, so you can add the sheep.
I love it.
And I have the Rhinebeck doodle cowl up there on my
you do? That's
mannequin.
right.
I put it out for you since you're working on one.
I might
I
bring
watched
it
your
in
podcast
today.
yesterday, if you can't tell.
Thank you. That's so fun. Yeah, I might bring mine in later and work on it during midnight.
It's super fun.
Yeah.
I love Jamie's patterns.
Me too.
So she sent me these stickers because I carry her doodle decks. Those are arriving today.
Oh, no way.
They're going to go right here. I had a nice big order and they sold out in a week. People love the doodle decks. So we'll get those back in later today.
Oh, where are your bags?
So that's my best-selling item. I cannot keep them in stock, especially bringing my toddler to work every day.
Yeah.
Who does not want me to sew.
Yeah.
I have one Barbie bag left.
Oh, how cute is that?
I definitely went on the Barbie trend in July or so.
That.
So this is one of my larger bags. And then in the other room, I had a drawstring bag. That's usually what I do.
Drawstring.
Yeah, it's over there.
Oh, awesome.
I did also just start to dye fiber.
Oh, cool.
So that is new to my dyeing repertoire. But I actually have given away some of my favorites already. So I just have a few here, but soon this will be all fiber. I have some kits here right now, but eventually I want this to be all spinning and I'll move the kits elsewhere. So we're very much still a work in progress.
Yeah, I mean, you said you like just came into this room recently, so now you're able to fill it out and expand, which is really exciting. Okay, so we're gonna go into, you said one of your dye spaces. So how many spaces do you have to dye?
I have 2 dye spaces and they're actually just separated by a wall. So in the old space before I renovated, there's like a kitchenette in both buildings. And so it was bigger than this, but not much. So when I opened over here, since I spend a lot of like my physical time here with customers, I decided to utilize the smaller space to dye yarn. So that way I can still dye yarn while helping customers.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is my new little dye space. I'm sure a lot of dyers would agree this is pretty tiny, but it gets the job done. I just do a couple of pans at a time, really. Again, I have my toddler with me, so there's only so much I can do anyway. But yeah, this is it.
Great. So do you dye your yarn exclusively for your shop, or do you sell any of it online or go to shows or do any of that?
I do all of that.
Oh, awesome.
So, I do most of I would say 50% of my business is online. And that's how I started. So I was on Etsy first, and I very quickly transitioned to building my own website. And I do shows, I do some wholesale in the state. I want to expand when I've got more free time, like with my hands.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I do a lot of online sales and a lot of storefront. But normally when I dye something for the store, I put it on my website right away so people can shop it online. But sometimes it kind of, lags behind. So things will hit the storefront first and then go online.
Very cool. What are you dyeing right now? What colorway is this?
This is new, but I'm thinking of calling it olive juice.
Ooh, it's pretty.
It's kind of fun. I don't dye a whole lot of neutrals, but my kind of goal for this coming year was to expand on my neutrals that aren't pink. I do a lot of pink neutrals, but I decided to try out some speckles. So yeah, this is brand new.
It's pretty. So what stage is it in? It's done?
It's done. I just need to rinse it and hang it to dry.
Very cool. And do you do that in here?
No, I have to trek all of the yarns.
You pick the whole thing up?
Yes. Well, actually, my process is I bathe them in here, if you will, and then I carry them in one of these little tubs over to the other side. And when it's warm out, I do a little bit of solar drying. So
nice.
I have a clothesline in the back of the building, and I just hang them all up in a row and let them dry. And then I bring them on in. So there's a lot of moving parts and not a lot of carts to move them. So I'm getting strong.
That's so cool.
So I carry I try to bring in as many local products as I can to kind of elevate some other small businesses in the area, although they are very successful. But they're just a couple of hours down the road. This is 1818 Farms. They have baby doll sheep, which I love. That's how I found them. And they make, shea butters, different things that I think are really nice for knitters specifically. So I try to curate like local items, gifts, but also things that are useful for crafters.
Nice. You said this like Southern tea one is really popular.
That one sold out first, and it smells like sweet tea.
Sweet, yeah, it smells good.
My favorite is the citrus.
Ooh, nice.
And then I also carry artwork by some of my favorite artists. So basically anybody who sells their arts as prints, I try to bring it in because, again, I like to elevate those small businesses. So these are some of my favorite prints on the table. I've got more in the other room by Jessica Rue. Those are definitely a popular one. I also carry, I didn't show you guys this, but Simply Serving, I carry some of her little charms.
Oh, yeah.
Because she's an illustrator, just as she is like a charm maker. So I like to bring in her artwork. I've got her art featured on the walls in there.
Oh, cool.
And then over here on this bag stand, these are new to us. These are bags from Beautiful Sister, and I think they're in Chicago. I've met Hillary and Heather a couple times at Rhinebeck events, and these are some of their awesome bags. So I just had to bring them in to the shop. I really love this one on the top. This is like a custom design from them. It's a walking and knitting bag. I know, isn't that one perfect for you?
It's a van.
Yeah.
We haven't seen,
we've
only seen like RVs. It's actually a van. So it says on here Hillary. So does some of these say Heather then? Like who makes the bags?
This one is the Heather bag, this style.
Oh, it's the style. Cool.
It's the style. So I think I'm sold out of some of them, but I've got there's an Izmira bag, there's a Clio bag. I carry a couple, but
that's so cool.
They left the shop almost as fast as they came in.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Next, we're going to sit with Ashley to learn more about how Paper Crane Yarns got started. Tell us about the history of the store. Like, when did you start actually your hand-dyed yarn business? Because that's what you started with, right?
Yes. I think I started in 2021. It's sad that I already can't remember, but yeah, so I still had a full-time job at the time, and I decided to just practice dyeing some stuff at home. My husband surprised me with some skeins of yarn and some of my first yarn dyes, and so I just tried it out at my house, and I felt like it was going pretty well. I listened to a podcast years ago. It was a crochet podcast about selling hand-dyed yarn and how that's where you could potentially make money in this kind of industry, so I thought I'd give it a shot. So yeah, I was just dyeing yarn at my house.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's only been like a couple of years, really.
It's only been a couple of years. I actually started knitting in 2019, so
wow.
It really took over.
Wow, that's impressive. So how soon after you had started dyeing yarn were you thinking, maybe I want to also like have a yarn shop? Like there's not a ton of yarn shops in Alabama, so I feel like it was a need. Was that like a community you were seeking out and you're like, I can provide that for people? Or
yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. Basically, I got married right before I started my business. I also finished college right around this time, and I wasn't really sure what to do. I like to joke that opening a business is cheaper than grad school, so that was kind of like the trajectory I saw for myself. And I already was in this space using it. Obviously, we're bumping up a little bit ahead, but I started using this space to dye yarn.
Okay.
And we just thought, let's go for it. Let's renovate it. And everything we do is out of pocket. And so we don't take out loans, which is why we've grown pretty slowly, I would say. But that's, I think, the best way for us. So yeah, like I was saying with getting married, I moved to the city and didn't have any friends. Everybody lived at least half an hour away in Birmingham, where I came from. So I wanted to seek out a community and build that community. And that's why we're here.
Wow. So what was the space before you took over as a dye studio? Because that's what you were doing first here.
Yes.
Was it another business or?
It was. It's been a while since either of the buildings were in use. They sat dormant for a long time. But years ago, the space we're sitting in right now was a frame shop. So my husband's aunt owned her own frame shop. And I think this was probably more early 2000s. And because his family built these buildings and they owned them, it did sit for a while. Actually, just a few months ago, really. Well, we've been working on this space for a year, but really a few months ago, we just overhauled it. Before this, it still had the original yellow walls and green carpet, and there was just a lot going on. And so we renovated it. And before that, it was just empty, just full of relics, basically.
Yeah. So you were able to come in, start your dye studio in the other space that we saw.
Yes.
And then you renovated the front area for your yarn shop.
Yeah, that was also fun because it was dark blue with gold trim and then the black floors, as you saw. So we had a lot of work to do. It was all DIY.
Wow.
So everything we've done has been my husband and myself.
Wow. Yeah. So the black floors we saw with like the speckly, like
that's original.
Oh, I actually really like that.
I love that. My husband did that. I think his goal was at some point to open an art supply store over there. He went to college for art and thought that would be what he would do. And so that was, the inspiration behind the fun floors.
Yeah, that's super cool. And then you said it's only been a few weeks since this area has been open. Is that
Yeah, the
true?
End of November when we came over here. But just this past week, actually, when I got your email, we were like, we have to finish the renovation. So the renovation was 75% of the way done. And this past week, we just really knocked it out. Yep.
Will this be the first day today that people are in here?
No, since November, they've been coming in here for the knitting group. And a couple weeks before that, when we were done, I was sneaking people over here and we were just kind of hanging out in the space. But yeah.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
So where we're sitting right now is where you film your podcast, right?
Yeah, it is.
So tell us more about you have a podcast. Do you film other videos? Do you share your dyeing? What do you share on your channel?
Mostly it's kind of your typical knitting podcast. I go through the projects that I'm working on. I have done, this past year I did Vlogtober.
Oh, fun.
So every day in October, including my Rhinebeck trip, we drove all the way to Rhinebeck. I filmed every day then. That's mostly what I've been doing. I would like to increase kind of what I'm putting out, do more dyeing stuff, sewing things, tutorials. But again, as I keep saying, my 1.5-year-old comes to work with me every day, so it's very hard to multitask. So that's kind of on the back burner. But, I try to once a month at least, if not every 2 weeks, put out a podcast.
That's great. I think I saw a project. You're working on a sweater back here.
Oh, yes.
Can I get it so we can show
it?
I just saw it sitting right here. Okay, wait. So show us what you're working on.
Okay. Thank you.
I just was like, I see a project. I want to know.
Do some beautiful yarn management.
I like that your bag is yellow and your project is gold. It's like it all goes together.
This should be a project bag. This is a Delicue bag, and I carry these in my shop. They're going to be delivered in a couple days, sadly.
Oh, nice.
But they're really nice. But I use it as my catch-all. But anyway, this is the Agneet cardigan by Petite Knit. Ooh. If I can find the other.
So here's the other ball.
Thanks. It's an Oliver single color brioche cardigan.
Oh,
and I'm almost done. I'm on the second sleeve. I'll show the back where all the ends are not.
Oh, that's really nice.
It's really difficult to manage. Okay, we've got a sleeve. It's silk mohair, and these are both Pearl Soho yarns. So it's their linen quill and the silk mohair held double. But single color brioche. It's got a double knit neckband, which is nice, so I don't have to pick that up at the end.
Oh, I love that.
Me too. But yeah, almost done.
Very cute.
I'm playing yarn chicken with my sleeve. I might run out.
Oh no.
I know. I still have, I think, 3 more decreases, which are 24 rows in between.
You might make it.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Do you have a backup plan? Make the other sleeve shorter?
Their yarns are on sale right now, so I was thinking another skein of yarn and another project's worth of yarn.
Now, what sweater are you wearing today?
The Violetta pullover by Claudia Quintanilla. And they had a knit along for this in December and January. So I decided to join and make it. And the yarns are my yarns. This is my Aura colorway, which is my daughter's name, actually. So this is like my most special yarn and my most special sweater, which is why I wore it to kind of represent. I actually have a skein of this to give you.
I was going to say, that's what I want to get
today. It's over there for you right now.
Yay. It's so beautiful.
So yeah, this is fingering weight and a silk mohair held double.
That's beautiful. I love that. So Paper Crane Yarns, did you start that like with your hand-dyed yarn business, or was that something that started when you came to the store? How did you come up with that?
So it did start as my hand-dyed yarn business, and I was actually a little nervous to have it carry over to the name of the storefront because it's very niche, and I was worried people might not understand that this is a yarn store. But thankfully, I haven't encountered that. Everybody kind of knows right away. I think my sign outside helps because it says knitting supplies. But so it was my hand-dyed yarn business, and the inspiration behind it is since I was a little girl, probably 6 or 7, I've been folding paper cranes. And it just really was something I was very interested in. And as I got older, I learned that that is technically a kind of visual mathematics, which I've always loved math, but I am very bad at it. I'm more of an arts and humanities kind of person, but I love to know like the science and the math behind stuff, especially art. I feel like they go hand in hand really. They go really hand in hand. So when I learned knitting, I realized there was a lot of similarities in origami and paper folding and knitting. So to me, it felt really natural to combine my love for the two. And so yeah, I just find lots of inspiration in those things.
That's really cool. I like the name. I haven't seen anything like it before, and it's fun to see all the little cranes like all around the store. Have you made all of these?
All of them. I've probably folded a couple thousand in my lifetime.
Oh my gosh.
I gift them. So I make really big mobiles and I gift those. And I'm actually about to embark on a special project for my best friend who's getting married. She's getting married at the end of this year, and I'm going to fold her 1,000 white paper cranes. So when you guys leave, that's what I'm starting on.
Yeah, that's going to take you some time. How long does it take to make each one?
I timed it the other day, and I think I got 6 done in 15 minutes.
That's still a long time.
It is a long time. I could be faster.
No,
I think I'll be faster after I fold 1,000. My goal is to get them done in like 2 months so I can just be done.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying you're taking a long time. I'm saying it's going to take a long time to make 1,000.
It is. And I'm going to string them all. And
beautiful. Yeah. That'll be really special though. What are you excited about that you have coming up like in the store or just, I don't know, anything that you have going on? Yarn, products, renovations?
Yeah. So the renovation was the big one. We weren't really planning on finishing that so soon, but thankfully we just kind of knocked that out. There's still, of course, stuff we want to do here and there, but that was the big one. And then my other goal for 2024 was to start dyeing fiber, and I just started at the end of December, so I feel like I'm tackling that goal, but I really want to expand on that. So I'm still in the trial phases, seeing what works. It's a much different process I've found so far than dyeing yarn, but I feel like so many people are getting into spinning right now. I just got into it about 6 months ago, and I think there's a real kind of demand for it right now. So that's my goal, is to work on a lot of fiber. I'm also working on building like my tonal collection, sort of my standard yarns. I really like to do special colorways all the time. So I'm working on building like a go-to palette for my yarns, and I think that's going pretty well so far.
Now, how can we keep up with you and the store and your yarns and everything that you're doing? Do you have, is Instagram the best place to follow? Or do you have a newsletter or anything like that?
Yeah, Instagram is the best. I would say that's Paper Crane Yarns. It's really Paper Crane Yarns everywhere. I'm very active on Ravelry. We have a group that I want to get more active in. And I have a Facebook page for the store. I have my YouTube channel, the podcast, and I do have a newsletter that I send out probably once a month. It's kind of like sort of like a handwritten letter, very personal, with a little bit of news at the bottom.
Awesome.
And that's available on my website, which is papercraneyarns.com.
And that's where we can find your hand-dyed yarn too, right?
Yep, my hand-dyed yarn, everything I carry in the shop.
Oh, great. That's awesome.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much for having us here today. This has been so much fun. So excited to get to sit and knit and hang out with everybody
Me too.
today.
I really appreciate you guys coming and picking our little store to represent Alabama.